This video will walk you through how to create a sway from a blank template. The first thing you want to do once you're in Sway is select the new blank sway. When you're first brought to a blank template, the first thing they're going to ask is to give your sway a title. So for this demonstration, I'm going to make a sway that introduces myself. Each of these boxes are called cards, and the cards have different choices within them. So for this one, I can drop down the detail and I can see my title, and I can do things like emphasize, which is like a bolding feature. I can accent it, which is similar to an italicize, and I can even attach a link. I have a choice to add a background picture. When you're adding a picture, there's several ways that you can do it. You can select one within Sway, and all photos in Sway are Creative Commons pictures, so they are all free to use and use within presentations. Because this is a presentation about myself, I'm going to actually bring in a photo from my device. And there's two ways you can do that. You can bring it in by going to File, or you can simply, if you have them on a desktop, you can bring them in from a desktop as well. So I'm going to drag mine and place it in the margin right there. You can give your photos captions, and every time you add a photo, there's going to be this button over here that says focus points, and that allows you to decide where you want the focus to be on an image by selecting it, and then they show you two images below, what your photo looks like on a desktop and then what your photo looks like currently on like a mobile device. So if I click on a focal point, you'll see that the pictures move, and you can actually select more than one focal point. If I want to know what this looks like in presentation mode, I can toggle over to the design and see how much is shown. Now let's say I want to change my focus points and I want the whole picture to be in a focal point. I can just select that box right there, and then I can toggle back to my design and see how that looks. So the storyline is where you do all of your editing, and the design tab is where you will go to see how your sway looks in the presentation mode. So now that I have my title and a picture, I'm going to add a new card. And when you select this plus button, you have different categories of cards that you can bring in. You can bring in headings, text, images, stacks of images. You can upload. If you're just looking for a simple text card, media card, or grouping feature, which we'll walk through in a little bit. So I just want to add a text feature below. So I can add some information about myself. When you add text cards, you again have that choice to emphasize your text, accent it. You can insert bullet points or numbers as well as links. And over here there's three keys, and this is where you decide how much emphasis you want to place on this text card. You can add a subtle emphasis, which just allows the text to stay smaller, or you can increase the emphasis to make the text larger. And as always, if you want to delete a card, you can just use the trash can in the corner. So now I want to see how this text card looks below my title. So I'm going to toggle back to design, my title, and I see my description below. So I'm going to make one subtle change, and then from there I'm going to add in some media. So I'm going to add in some pictures. And because I'm going to bring in a couple of pictures, I'm going to do the group automatic feature. So this is where you can just simply load or drag and drop photos from your desktop. So I'm going to start dragging a few photos, and as you can see, I just have to place them in that text card and they will load them automatically for me. And again, because this is a storyline, you can simply drag and drop things to change the order of the pictures. And then I'm going to toggle back to my design to see how this is unfolding. So I don't really like how the photos are laid out in my design currently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this group type button and I'm going to change it to a grid view and see if that is a design that I like better. And I can see that I don't have a fourth picture, so maybe the grid view isn't what I want to try. And that looks better. Now I want to go in and I want to add another card, and I want to add a new heading called My Family. And again, I can add a background by selecting within Sway, or you can drag and drop photos, or you can grab photos. I'm just going to drag and drop from my desktop. And again, when I select that photo and I select focus points, I can decide where I want the focus point to be. So as you can see right now, the photo isn't showing any faces. So I want to go in and make sure that certain focal points are shown. And then I can go to my design, and that looks good. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to add some text. And again, when you have your text, you can change the emphasis. You can give it more emphasis. You can give it less emphasis. And now I want to bring in a couple of pictures of my family. So I'm going to go to the group setting and I'm going to select stack. And this is where I'm just going to start dragging and dropping photos from my desktop. Again, you can bring them in from your device as well. And in the storyline again, you can move photos up and down. So now I'm going to go back to my design and I'm going to see how this stack looks. So it's kind of like holding a stack of pictures, and you can go through and click through the pictures. Now that my sway is done, I'm going to go back into the design tab to show some other features from this section. So if you select styles, you're going to get this sidebar that comes up, and this is where you can change the style. So right now it's in the default where it scrolls vertically, but maybe you want it to scroll horizontally instead, and you would select it by hitting the horizontal button. If you want more of a presentation feel, you can press slides, where you would go through it much like a PowerPoint slide. I think mine is presented best in the vertical format, so I'm going to go back to that. Then below they have these different themes, and when you select them, you'll see certain aspects of your sway change. So font, color, and this is something that you can work through and decide what color scheme and font works best for your sway. Or if you want sway to pick, you can use this remix button and it will randomly select a style for you. So, and if you dislike any of the choices, you can always hit your undo button to go back to any previous style that you have picked. So I'm going to go back to the original one because that's the one I prefer. You can also go in and customize your color palettes, your font choices, animation emphasis, text size, all of those sorts of things. The other button in the design section is this icon in the bottom right hand corner, which if you select it allows you to navigate to the different parts of your sway. So because this is a demonstration, I'm keeping it short, so I only have 2 parts, but you may have several parts that allow you to click directly to that part. Now that my sway is done, the play button is here to show you what it looks like when you're presenting, or if you send a link of your sway to somebody, this is the view that they will get. And you can always press edit to go back into your edit mode. When you select share, you get several ways of sharing. You can send this to specific people or groups. You can send this to people in your organization with a link, or you can send it to anyone with a link. And then please take note for whoever you're sending it to, you want to make sure, are they having a view or a edit choice. And you can select to copy the link. You can get a visual link, or you can get an embedded code. Below, you can add an extra layer of security by adding a password to access your sway. This concludes how to start a blank template using the program Sway.